Hello again. Um, the first week of September. Yippee. Uh, One of those videos where I'll be outlining my new goals because, well, they have changed. They're not the exact same. I was planning on changing them anyway, but there was something I wanted to do. There was something I was thinking of doing last month, that I ended up doing this month as well. No, today. Doing this month. Nothing else added to that. Jesus. Um, so first up, my porn goal hasn't changed at all. It's still the same as it usually has been. Uh, it's just the same. I'm getting really comfortable with just doing it once a day for an entire week. So I've been planning on reducing by a day at least like soon. So yeah, just planning on doing it soon. When I get more comfortable with it, I literally have it in the book as reduce a day when comfortable. So that's just how I'm going to take it. I guess there isn't technically any criteria for when I get comfortable with it. I guess technically I am comfortable now, but I'm going to do this one more month and then I'll go ahead and do one more day or reduce a day. Brushing my teeth. I'm actually going to be getting rid of that goal after October because that's yeah, what the fuck? Yeah. Um because I go to the dentist that uh that month, and that will sort of signify whether or not this has actually been successful. I'd also like to clarify that once this goal is gone, if I notice myself starting to falter when it comes to brushing my teeth, even with the timer on, I'm going to start I'm gonna start I'm gonna incorporate this back into the journal. If the habit didn't stick, we get right back on the program and hope that it does stick. Um, and then this month, I decided to change the third goal from changing my sleep schedule, and instead to eating more. I noticed last month and hell before that sometimes I would just not eat more than one meal a day. Hell, sometimes I might not eat more than fucking snacks, which is concerning, really concerning. So the current goal, eat twice a day, and then later, this means like meals, so essentially lunch, dinner, breakfast, lunch. It doesn't really matter what, when, or what I eat. It's just that I end up eating a meal. Um, I also have it set down that after 2 months, I'm going to be doing this for the next 2 months, that I increase it to 3 times a day. A part of me also wants to put an alarm, but like I've got 3 alarms, all of which are for like lunchtime. I already know when I eat breakfast, and dinner is typically something that happens way later at night because, well, we didn't make something, or whenever we decide to make something. So it's not really going to be that difficult for those two. The only one I ever typically forget is, well, lunch. Uh, I mean, that's kind of it so far, since already had a whole week within here. Everything's gone pretty smoothly. I didn't really expect me to falter in terms of teeth care. And the whole porn use thing. I've been, what is this, like, second month doing this already? Um, yeah. Actually, no, this is my first month just doing it. Uh, my second month just doing one every day, or having it limited to one every day. Uh, so, yeah. Probably probably gonna do the 3 month cycle that I'm actually kind of comfortable with that I was doing beforehand, where I bump it down a day whenever the third month hits. I don't know if that's gonna be a consistent thing, but seeing as I'm playing it a little more loose this time, probably probably gonna be something that just kind of happens a little more passively than I fully realize. Um, Aside from that, I have nothing else to talk about that pertains to goals. Oh, actually, that's not true. The sleep schedule thing. The reason I dropped it is because I kind of wanted to monitor one. This is more of a passive thing. This isn't something I'm gonna actively have going, but actively have being monitored. Not yet, at least. I want to get at least somewhat healthy eating habits, healthy being in quotes there. Really, it just means that I am actually eating 3 meals a day. Uh, and then and while I'm doing that, I'm gonna sort of monitor my my energy based off of like what I'm doing, what I've done during the day, and not necessarily what I eat, because I don't think it really totally matters what I eat. What I'm doing and when I woke up. That's what I was talking about, or that's what I was thinking about. When I wake up, which has been pretty consistently around 8 to 9. Sometimes I do wake up at around 7, so that's something to consider. But I've been trying to monitor how high my energy goes, so that I can decide if I'm going to start changing up my sleep schedule more, when I can schedule certain things, how I can do certain things. I was considering actually getting into working out, and then I realized this working out as a way of sort of exhausting myself of some of the energy that I clearly don't use, so that I can be more tired by the end of the day, or so that I'm more drowsy. And I mean, I'd like to, but if I'm not at the very least eating 3 meals a day, it's just going to be pain with nothing gained. And I personally don't really want that. So I'm gonna establish a better eating habit at the very least, and then try to get into that because I'm also incredibly weak, and it would help to at the very least break away from a sedentary lifestyle. So, and if I do start working out, even if it's like small stuff just to build up muscle, long term health effects, that's great. That's awesome. As long as I don't break my fucking back while working out, I'll be perfectly fine. Uh, Now to things that don't necessarily pertain to goals. College has been exhausting, to say the least. I'm realizing some classes I don't like. I'm realizing some classes I do. I'm also realizing that some classes aren't as difficult as I think they are, and I'm just making them more difficult. And despite this being the third week, close to the fourth week, I still haven't really figured out a scheduling or a pattern that works for me. Right now, I've just been doing like pretty much a stop saying like pretty much a one subject a day. God damn, that took way too long to get to me. Yeah, one subject a day, and I mean, it kind of helps. I know all the material freshly, and kind of having a hard focus for one day does make it stick a lot better in my mind. Maybe part of the reason why I didn't do too well in high school, since we were learning so many things and also moving between buildings. So didn't really help in that regard in terms of learning at least. There is still plenty I've learned. I took biology in my last year of high school, and right now I'm currently taking biology again. It's covering a lot of those basics, and a lot of that knowledge did stick since it was the first class of the day. It kind of couldn't really help if it didn't. It kind of just did. So that was great at the very least. I'm very familiar with a lot of the concepts going into it, and it's very easy so far. I'm just realizing that maybe I'm not a super big fan of taking notes, like at all. Just, just am not really that big of a fan. I'm already not that great of a typer when I. No, just I'm not that great of a typer. I can type fast, but I oftentimes mistype, and I have to look at the keyboard most of the time to get across what I'm trying to do, which makes me not privy to the spelling mistakes or the grammatical errors that are currently going on screen, which kind of sucks. And especially since all of my shit's going to be digital, I'm going to start practicing typing without looking at my keyboard. But since it's such a habit of me looking down, it's been a little rocky. I can do it. I've mostly memorized the keyboard just from playing a lot of video games. So I can approximate where they'll be, and just overall, the general feeling of the keyboard still works really well. It's just kind of a pain not to look at the keyboard. So just something to be working on. If it really becomes that big of an issue, I could probably get like a mat or a piece of paper and just put it over. Although the keys on the keyboards for laptops are really small, so maybe I'd want to substitute a different keyboard. I'm sure I could find one around here that has like more accentuated keys, and I can actually feel them under like a piece of paper or a mat. Ugh. Yeah, the college classes so far, since they're all asynchronous and all online, I've one noticed I've gotten a lot better at holding myself accountable and forcing myself to do things that maybe my brain doesn't inherently want to do. Because, I mean, the only other time I have to compare was during COVID, but during COVID, I didn't do shit. I mean, I did some of my assignments after the classes were done, but for the most part, I really wouldn't do anything unless I had like a group of people there to do it with. I would just about never end up doing a lot of the assignments, which ended up with me having like what the bare minimum grade for half my classes and failing two of them. So wouldn't be much of a surprise to say that I went to summer school that year too. So, um, but hey, it was nice because it was actually in person, and it was. I mean, even though it was a derelict, empty classroom with a bunch of online courses and a bunch of mass people who didn't really give a fuck, it was at the very least good enough to give me accountability to do my shit. Plus, I mean, when you're in school, the only solace you have is like your phone. You can't really do shit on the school computers, so once you're done with your shit, just use your fucking phone, man. And of course, the instructor was also notified whenever your stuff was finished, so they would allow you to get on your phone and not hound you for anything. Um, but yeah, in comparison, I'm doing a lot better. It is just the first 3 weeks, but I'd also like to point out that currently all of these classes only go up until December, so they're gonna be relatively short classes. They're not taking up the entirety of the year. It's like the tail end of August all the way to I think mid December. And hell, for Thanksgiving week, you don't even get assignments either. So it just like it's barely even considered a full year. Real school years aren't considered a full year because you take the entire summer off and you have what, like spring break, which is an entire week. You have like half days. You also have some break days, and then you also have, I think, an entire week off of December as well. But they are much longer than what I currently have to do, and they also take a lot more time to go over all of the content, which I guess is kind of a downside. I have to do pretty much an entire chapter worth of shit for 5 classes in one thing, and I can only imagine what I'd have to what I'd have to do if I was actually taking the classes that I want to major for, seeing as this semester they just didn't have anything available for it. So I don't know. Make it like what, 7 classes? I'd have to work through the whole fucking week if I was doing one thing per day, which didn't work. And I've already started to break out of that habit because depending on what certain assignments we're doing, some discussion posts, you gotta comment twice, yada yada yada, that type of shit. Um, Aside from that, I've kind of faltered on vacuuming, more just because I end up being too tired after doing all of the college work in order to do it. I have to do it today though because god damn, the rain made the rain that's been happening pretty consistently these past 2 weeks, I think, has made those two, my dogs, trek in a crap ton of dirt, and yeah, it wasn't really that big of an issue initially when I stopped doing like a super consistent thing and instead just dropped down to once a week again. Because really, they didn't shed that much, and as long as I keep grooming them a little bit, it should be fine. But the amount of dirt they tracked in this week alone is absolutely crazy. So I'm gonna have to. I have to vacuum. It does. I don't have a choice in the matter. Um, there isn't really much else to say other than like next week I got jury duty, which kind of sucks since I'm not going to be able to do some of my assignments, which might influence me to start some on the weekend. Although I am kind of lazy, and since weekends are supposed to be time off, you'd suspect me not to want to do that, but since I have jury duty on Monday and I'm more than likely not going to be able to do nearly as much work as I want to simply because of that. I mean, they still haven't let me know. They're going to let me know on Sunday, but there's a pretty big chance that I'm still going to have to go in anyway. So I'm just going to plan ahead, essentially. Or I'm more than likely to. I could also just not and decide to work overdrive one of the days when I might potentially have like extra energy energy, but probably probably not going to happen. It's a weird feeling actually having something going on cuz like usually I don't got shit going on like at all. But now I actually do, and I'm suddenly realizing how little time I have to do a lot of other things that I might want to do while also being some still like the fucking slop consumer that I am. Again, I've strayed away from it a little bit, but do you think it's just gone entirely? Fuck no. I'm not fully capable of that. At least not that quickly. But so far, at least, there has been a lot less time, and I've actually been focusing a lot more on shit that I actually want to do, on games that I want to play, stuff that I want to write. Ah, there was one other thing before I am done talking, and hopefully don't go on another tangent. that I wanted to do. Sort of make a habit out of. More just a way of sort of dumping my mind before I go to bed, but I wanted to start like not journaling. I mean, I'm already doing that. I wanted to just literally dump my mind out onto a piece of paper. Essentially just write a bunch of shit out on paper at the end of the day. College mixed with these videos has shown me how unbelievably unarticulate I am. I just am not good at articulating myself. Not really great at finding other words or structuring my sentences very well. It's mostly just kind of off the cuff. I think writing it down there and reading it, a thing that might have been noticed by myself, might have been. A thing that I've noticed is that I oftentimes hesitate to actually rewatch these videos because I don't want to fucking see what I make. That makes me nervous. I'm gonna cringe. I cringe in my own voice. It's anxiety. It's really no more than just a insecurity bubbling up, which, the sooner I start watching, the sooner I'll accept. With college, with having taken college classes, it's getting a lot easier to ignore that feeling and not care. But with this, I write with. Oh, I guess I should show. It's the same. It's the same book that I've been using to write my figuring out my fears videos. Which, by the way, I don't have one for this month, like at all. So I don't know if I'm gonna do it this month. I'd like to, considering the fact that one of my fucking New Year's resolution was to do one of these each month. But yeah, right now I'm struggling a little bit. It is the same one that I've used to format out those videos, and I've been thinking about just using it to dump out my mind and sort of just read what I had, like actually read it. Especially since there's plenty of pages here. What, 180 sheets, 5 subject dividers within the book. I could just dedicate a whole section to pouring my mind out and labeling a date on it, sort of just reviewing it before I end up pouring my mind out the next day. It'll allow me to, one, see my actual flaws within making these making these, writing these down, so I can kind of address them as I go. Obviously, I do address a lot of the issues just by thinking about them, but I can't remember everything, and some of the issues might be a little more subtle than is fully recognizable by my brain, like in the moment. So it's going to be a better move to actually write them down. And I'd like to do that maybe, no, pretty much every night before bed. Dump a bunch of crap out onto the page, end it, head to sleep, and wake up the next day, do my day, review, write, head to sleep. I want to make a habit out of it. I don't know why I had to do that. I want to make a habit out of this. Just a good way of, one, reviewing my own thoughts that I may have had the next day, criticizing my knee-jerk thoughts, and um, improving my writing and articulation in general. I know that my writing, at least for my college classes, may be like satisfactory, but I certainly don't find it satisfactory. I find it rather vexing. So I'd much prefer to actually find a way to sort of passively improve it. If I have a habit that allows me to criticize myself and understand, one, how I write, two, my own thoughts better, I don't think that's necessarily a negative. Well, aside from the paper that'll get used, I guess that's a negative, but I don't know. Having a visual manifestation of your thoughts isn't necessarily a bad thing. So I'm going to go ahead and start trying to do that. And aside from that, I don't really think I have anything else to say. So I'll see myself next time.